Positive rotation.
Welcome to Roll Call, a 126th Air Refueling Wing podcast of the Illinois Air National Guard at Scott Air Force Base. I'm your host, Master Sergeant Brian Ellison. The Roll Call podcast focused on people, mission, and community. Our guest this week is Master Sergeant Dan Welker from the Comptroller Flight office. From the Comptroller Flight, he tells us about coming from active duty to the Illinois Air National Guard. The 375th Medical Group is holding a healthy behavior and weight loss program beginning August 1st. It runs through October 17th. They will meet. You can meet them either in person or virtually every Wednesday for an hour at noon. You can get a hold of Cathy Takacs with her phone number 618-256-7138 or email her. I'll put her contact information in the show's notes and descriptions. Scott Air Force Base's Small Unmanned Aircraft System, SUAS unit, Detachment X-Ray, sounds pretty metal, DEDX, is fully operational. This means you may notice small drones operating on Scott at different times for their official duties. DEDX is the only unit allowed to fly over Scott Air Force Base. So, if you believe you notice suspicious drone activity, please contact Security Forces Squadron BDOC at 256-6000. Coming up in this week's Look Around the Air Force, remembering the first major mission for the Air Force.
Some things are part of human nature. We just do them. These behaviors are our everyday way of living. Children learn them just by watching us. Because when you stop to think about what's really important, protecting each other is in our nature. The risk of dying by suicide increases 4 to 6 times when there is a loaded firearm in the home.
This risk increases for everyone in your home.
Always lock up firearms and medications. Make safety second nature so everyone in your home can thrive.
Joining me today is Master Sergeant Dan Welker, the NCOIC of Financial Management. That sounds like a fancy name, financial management. What does that mean?
Layman's terms, customer service for finance.
All right. And I mean, really, you guys have great customer service. Anytime I go in there, it always seems like they're going to sit down with me and help me out with the problem that I have.
Well, usually that's what we aim for.
It's great. So you're just new to the wing, and one of your first things you got to do was take an orientation flight. What was that like?
It was really neat. I'm not super big on heights, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you take, naturally Air Force is the place for me, but no, if you take that out of the equation, it's kind of cool though. I was deployed with an air traffic controller back in 2015.
Okay.
And then he was talking to me about near-air misses and stuff like that. And then he said, you'd be surprised. A near-air miss isn't what you think it is. It's not like somebody veers off at the last second like you see on the movies. It's like, I forget what he said, but it's something like anywhere between 1 and 3 miles of proximity to another aircraft is considered a near-air miss. And then, looking down the boom windows and all that, I'm like, well, I could probably, I know I could hit this plane with a baseball if I needed to.
Yeah, no
That's
kidding.
a lot closer than 1 to 3 miles.
Yeah, I had a pilot tell me one time, actually it was Colonel Lane, she was a guest on the podcast. She was saying, basically what we do is controlled midair collisions.
Yeah, I believe
is the way
it.
she kind of explained it.
And that goes with what the air traffic controller dude was saying. You're not gonna see that on the civilian side.
No kidding. Did you lay down in the pod? I know you're scared.
I did. I was actually whenever they were on their approach, I got to be down there. Yeah, it was really cool.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, I don't know. I don't feel. I mean, yeah, you get that freakiness, like, I don't know, even the arch, you kind of, when you're leaning over, you're like, whoa. But then, like, up there, it doesn't feel the same way. I don't feel that same kind of weirdness that you're scared? I guess it's whatever you want to call
I
it.
think it was definitely a one and done.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I love going up there.
I'm glad I did it, but I think I might be good for one lifetime.
Really? Oh, come on, man. You got to get back up there.
I've had the experience. Like I said, I've been up. I've seen it.
So when we do the virtual reality goggles, you want to do that? You think you'd be cool with that?
As long as I know I'm on the ground.
I don't know. Virtual reality.
If I knew I was on the ground already, mind you.
Yeah. Virtual reality is. Have you ever done virtual reality?
I mean, just Oculus or what is it?
Metaquest, yeah. That's still pretty freaky. I was playing something like in the dark, and I was like, "Whoa!" I look like I'm like leaning over an edge. I was like, "Whoa, that is pretty freaky." So you just got to the wing, like we said, and you before you came to the 126 Comptroller office. Where were you before that?
I was on the other side of base at 375th Comptroller.
Really?
So not a huge leap there.
No kidding. Just kind of walked across the ramp if they allowed that.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know. It is awfully scary though, going regular active to guard though.
Really?
Yeah.
What made you choose the National Guard? Why'd you choose to go from the 375th over here?
So prior to being here, because I'm from the area, I'm from St. Charles originally. So
Where at?
I'm from Wentzville.
Oh, okay. I live in St. Charles City now.
Okay.
So there you go. All right, cool.
Just a stone's throw away.
Yeah, awesome, man.
But yeah, I went up to my first duty station was in South Dakota, and then from there I went down to Florida, and then I BOP'd actually to get here.
What's
whenever
that?
Base of preference.
Oh, okay.
Basically asked if I could PCS here.
Oh yeah, so kind of like a dream sheet thing.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, that got approved, and I got close to home, and I figured, well, I don't really want to leave again, so. Over at 375th, there were 2 slots for master sergeants, and at the time we had 3, me being who had been there the longest. Figured, well, I better do something or something's going to be done for me. So, and one of my buddies was in the wing. He's like, well, why don't you look at coming on over? Figured, I'll give that a shot. Things panned out, and I'm very happy it worked.
Yeah, and so do you live here on the Illinois side, or do you?
I do. I live in Belleville now.
Oh, that's nice. It's a shorter commute than what my 45 minutes every day.
How the heck you do that?
I don't mind it. So what? I mean, I guess that kind of goes along with why'd you choose the 126? Because I guess you could have gone to one of the other, if you wanted to, one of the other wings, or you could have gone over to the Missouri Guard, and I guess you couldn't. Good old Knob Noster and been over there. I just like saying Knob Noster.
No, 126. So I just bought a house not too long before crossing over and all that. I really liked the house, liked the area, friends with my neighbors, things like that. And I like being at Scott too. So
yeah, it's nice.
Seemed like a good fit to slide on over.
Right. And so where were you at in South Dakota?
I was at Ellsworth.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice. My wife is from that. She is from Gillette, Wyoming, so which is about 2.5 hours west of Ellsworth. And she lived and worked in Rapid City, Spearfish, and Lead, South Dakota, where and then Deadwood's up there. You like Deadwood's fun.
Yeah, my wife, she's from Winter. And she was
Winter, South Dakota. Well, where I don't know exactly where that's at, but I've seen the exit.
Kind of say middle of nowhere, and you're referring to most of the state.
Yeah, I know. It is. When I first moved up there for work, I stopped in the middle of 90, and I was and stopped at a rest stop, and eerily quiet. Even though you're on an interstate, it's eerily quiet up there. If the wind's not blowing.
Yeah, 40, 60 mile an hour gale force winds that'll hit you out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I learned to ride a motorcycle at about a 45-degree angle.
Oh, man.
Leaning into it.
So you went to Sturgis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of experience in Sturgis.
Sturgis is an interesting place, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like spring break for middle-aged people.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah, I love that. Never heard it put that way. You talked about the transition. What's that been like to go from an active duty to, you're kind of active duty now. Are you AGR? Or?
AGR, yeah.
So what's that been? What's that transition like?
Honestly, it was scary because, just going through it, I got 14 years in. Now I have to get a legitimate 214, so the idea of that just terrified me. But, no, everybody was awesome, and, almost seamless. I was working on, the other side of the flight line one day, and I just come to this side of base the next. I said it was more so just being nervous about actually separating and then coming back in and all that.
What was that process like separating? I mean, so you had to go through, I was active Army for a long time, so you had to go through
Shippy and really the whole separation checklist.
Right.
Yeah, the whole thing, all separation for medical, all that stuff. And
so was there a break between the time at 375th, or like
it's just one day there, next day here.
ETS, and just the next day you're in the Air National Guard.
Yeah, just changed out my patch.
That is awesome. That's cool.
But no, it worked out extremely smooth. So compliments to everybody that was involved.
Right. Did you guys have more spaces in Comptroller's office? Because I saw you also brought Sergeant Yee over with you.
Yep. Yeah, I poached him from 375th also.
I hear that a lot. A lot of people, they leave the other side and come over to the 126th.
Best kept secret in the Air Force. It's weird, though. On the active side, nobody really even talks about Guard or Reserve as an option even.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, in basic training, we were all in the Guard, the Army Guard, and the Army and the Reserves. We all served together in basic training, so we kind of had an idea of what they did. But yeah, I mean, what was your opinion of the Guard before? I mean, because
I went to basic, like you said, and tech school. Even there were Guard guys there. When I was in Florida, we had a significant Guard and Reserve presence there. A lot of AGR stuff. So, I mean, other than what you claim you are, really not much different. The only reason that, like I said, it's just not something that active duty really even talks about. The only reason that
because they're scared, they don't want to lose you.
Hey, that 214 is a scary situation. Let me tell you.
What's so scary about the 214?
Because if things go awry, I just wasted 14 years of my life. Not wasted, but
you'll be fine. I mean, you're gonna get it back. You're gonna get those 6 years. Because AGR counts as federal time, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. I mean, and then. So what happens when you retire as an AGR? So do you collect that retirement right away?
Yeah, if you get your 20 years, 20 years plus or whatever, it's really the exact same as active duty.
Wow.
Which that I only knew about whenever I was in Florida. I sat next to a retiree that he did the same thing. He did about 3/4 of his career active and then jumped over. And then, I'd heard his stories like, hey, you need to look into this, man. It's a pretty sweet gig. No more PCS in places you don't want to go.
Right.
Things like that. You can buy a house and be confident you're going to live there. Things like that. So, I always kind of had that going in the back of my head ever since talking to him.
Where were you at in Florida?
Tyndall.
Where's that? Is that the one that got wiped off the face of the earth? God bless it.
Actually, I came to Scott about 6 months before Hurricane Michael hit.
Holy cow. When was that? 20? Gosh.
I got here in 17, very tail end of 17, so it must have been 18.
Yeah, wow.
But it was a mess. I got to actually go back because I still knew the commander and the vast majority of the squadron and stuff. So they brought me back for a month to help them bring back the evacuees as they were returning and all that. But yeah, it was just it looked like a war zone.
Really? Is Tyndall gone now? Or are they?
No, they're back.
Oh, they're back?
They never actually closed. People evacuated, but like when I went there, it was a wild experience. Just entire forests. It looked like everybody just hit them with a chainsaw about 2.5 feet above the ground. We had a bunch of people who were kind of shacked up in the same house. Whoever had a house that was standing and livable kind of took in other people from the squadron that had been rendered homeless. It was kind of wild. Actually, while I was there, they had basically condemned all of base housing because it was all destroyed. So I got to walk through where I would have been had I lived there at the time, and holy cow, I'd have lost everything because that house got destroyed.
So what'd you say you were doing there when you went back to help out?
Helping them as evacuees were returning.
Yeah.
I was helping them take in travel vouchers and then process everybody.
Oh, that's cool. That's great. It was a lot of people down there. Did they bring in a lot of people to help reprocess all these folks?
Not a lot.
Really?
There were, I think, out of us people that were there TDY, they had about half the squadron had returned. The other half was still evacuated because they didn't have places for people to live really even. So they only took people that could find places to live and things like that.
Right.
But we had a team of about 4 people there, TDY, to help kind of supplement.
Wow, that's awesome. That's wow.
Yeah, I felt bad for those guys, though. Man, they went through it.
That's rough. So you've been in. What are the 2 places you've been?
Ellsworth and Tyndall.
Ellsworth and Tyndall, and then here. And man, what was that like? What was that like to be full time but near home? That must have been. I don't know. I guess it would have made it more. Does it make it easier to be in the regular Air Force?
I mean, it's nice. I mean, Wentzville's still, about an hour and 20 minutes away-ish, so.
Depends on how you drive.
Well, yeah, I guess. But no, I spent a lot of time down there. So whenever I BOP'd here, I actually put in for it because my father got diagnosed with leukemia.
Oh, man.
So I kind of wanted to be around for
Sure.
the tail end of things and whatnot. So there was, for a period of a couple months, a lot of going back and forth.
Sure.
But other than that, I don't know, maybe once every 2 months.
Yeah.
Pop in, see what everybody's up to and whatnot.
Right. And you're close now over here you're closer to downtown to get to the games.
This is true.
Cardinals and Blues.
Blues.
Blues?
I can't even claim to be a baseball fan.
Really?
I watch in October, and then I'm a Cards fan. But
right. Oh, the Blues.
I can't, in good conscience, claim that I'm a baseball fan.
The Blues
period.
are a hot mess right now.
Yeah, but they're rebuilding.
Okay, sure.
Well, Vladdy and O'Reilly, they were going to be free agents.
But then
anyway,
Barbashev. I'm like, really? You got rid of Burgerchef?
Yeah,
there?
They got Dean for Barbashev, so that could pan out.
Yeah. Where were you at when they won the Stanley Cup?
I was here. I've actually, I got to touch the cup twice and kiss it once.
What?
Yeah, got a video of it and everything.
Where'd you see the cup at?
The first time was at the Blues 5K right after they won it.
Okay.
And then had to push through, about 1,000 people to get there, but I got there. And the other one was whenever they brought it out on base, they had everybody lined up, and they ran out of time, so I never actually got to go in and get a picture with it.
Oh, man.
But I tracked the guy down as he was walking out with it. On!
Oh, man, that is so awesome. When was it on base? I must have not been working here full time when it was on base. I guess not. No, I wouldn't have been. Man.
Well, I could check the date stamp on my phone if you want to be jealous.
Yeah. I tried to we went to the parade. That was a mess. That was, I saw John Hamm go by. That was about it. And we were on, it was on Market, but we were like by Channel 5. There's a little grassy area by Channel 5. And that was the closest we could get. It was probably not the best idea. We could have probably watched it on TV instead of going down to the parade. But I was at the parade. I've been to the Cardinals parade in 2006. All right, that's Master Sergeant Dan Welker, the NCOIC of Financial Management at the 126th Comptroller Office. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
"75 years ago in 1948, the brand new U.S. Air Force flew in the greatest humanitarian airlift in history. The Berlin airlift kept the 2.5 million citizens of West Berlin from starving and gave them hope during a Soviet blockade of the city. Secretary of the Air Force Frank Kendall says the airlift established a tremendous legacy for the service and demonstrated sustained global air mobility in an operation that may have prevented World War III. The Berlin airlift was the Air Force's first major achievement as a military service. Airmen getting ready to deploy will see more structured and predictable cycles that the Air Force says will better prepare them for high-end combat operations. Air Force Force Generation, or AFRGEN, is different from the expeditionary model of the past 20 years. Airmen will be assigned to one of 4 phases that deploy on a 24-month cycle covering preparation, certification, availability, and reset. AFRGEN is expected to evolve as airmen deploy and provide lessons learned to their units. Commanders at Air Expeditionary Wings can look forward to better operations as a new administrative structure is set in place. It's called an A-Staff, a standardized way of organizing that handles functions like manpower, operations, and plans. A-Staffs are responsible for informing and implementing wing commanders' decisions, communicating with higher and lateral headquarters, and looking out for the staff's professional development. The structure takes the burden of staffing responsibilities off units, allowing them to better focus on mission execution instead of staff work. It also provides wings with an increased capacity to plan, coordinate, and communicate under the Air Force's new Force Generation deployment model. That's your look around the Air Force. I'm Technical Sergeant Vernon Young.
Coming up August 2nd, the Exceptional Family Member Program is holding a Zoom session for Back to School, a special education roadmap. There'll be 2 sessions that day, one in the morning at 8 and the other in the afternoon at 1700, 5 p.m. for folks that can't do that math. Some of the topics covered include overcoming the hurdles of Back to School, Military Interest Children's Compact Commission, free appropriate public education, education and development intervention services. You can find more information like this by signing up for the 126th Military Family Readiness mailing list. I'll put their email in the description of this episode. You can find all of our links on Linktree. That's linktr.ee/126ARW. If you're watching YouTube, you can also download this on your favorite podcast app. If you want to pass along some information, you can email Roll Call at 126rollcall@gmail.com. Thanks for listening to Roll Call, a 126th Air Refueling Wing podcast focused on people, mission, and community. I'm Master Sergeant Brian Ellison.
500 stable.